Welcome to the Dynasty Pulse, right here, exclusively on Fantasy Sports Advice Network, with alternating episodes dropping on the Undroppables and Fantasy Football Plus. We are here tonight, not sponsored by Extends, Rhino Pills, and Saratoga Water. Not a sponsor, but hey, reach out. Also, I'm getting a little uncomfortable right now. I'm trying to do that banana therapy thing, but I don't know when to take it out. We have a great show tonight. We have a fantastic guest. We all work for a little platform out there called Player Profiler, little side gigs that we do. And recently, Player Profiler kind of partnered with another platform called Dynasty Degens. And Dynasty Degens has been on the Player Profiler platform. That's a mouthful for a few weeks now. And one of the better analysts over there is a guy named NerdBoi, NerdBoi, otherwise known as Mike. We're going to round table probe him. And so let's bring him on and let him tell you who he is and what he's all about. Let's welcome to the show, NerdBoi. Mike, what's up?
Yeah, man, I didn't know you guys had no intro for me, man. That was nice. Thank you.
We got a whole producer and everything.
Yeah, you got banana peel, Saratoga. You've been talking about probing. Everything is good, man. I like the vibes on here already.
Oh, no.
NerdBoi, what's up, buddy? Why don't you tell everybody? Obviously, Bigz gave you a pretty good intro. You're on fire right now with Player Profile, but tell everybody what you're up to right now.
Yeah, I mean, long story short, I got into the space probably around COVID time, and then Dynasty Degens started about 2 years ago. So I took a whole year off from content last year, but we really just came on. Obviously, I'm a good friend of Theo. Theo reached out to me. I think I started Dynasty Degens at the same time that I started Smash Accept, the network over there. So we launched that, and then I just said I want to go solo. So that's when we really just kind of, I got together with a couple of guys and said, let's just, let's do it on our own and let's, grow it from the ground up. But yeah, I'm glad we linked up with you guys, and we've just been doing a bunch of shows, man. We got the rookie show going on. I just recorded that today, and it's dropping tomorrow. Then I have the Dynasty show after this. We have the Devi show on Saturday. So it's just back to back to back, a lot of work, but we're having some fun with it, man. So I'm happy to be here.
We're happy to have you, man. And we're going to get right into the heart of the show here. It's probing our experts. So today we're diving into one of the most exciting parts of the season, the NFL draft. The running back class is stacked. We're going to talk about them. We're going to talk about a little bit of a tight ends, and our expert here, NerdBoi, he's ready to unpack it all, and we've got some serious insights from him. So he's going to share his wisdom. We'll toss around our quick takes, keep things light and fun. So buckle up, folks. We're ready to pack it all into these nuggets of fantasy gold. So let's go, Schultzy. Let's get that video going.
Yeah.
Right. You are up, man. Get us a question here for our guest.
Yeah, sorry. Hold on one second. I've got my citrus ready. Refreshing. There it is. I gotta say the citrus in there is pretty supple. But it's good. It's good. All right. We got a question here, and we're gonna talk some tight ends. I feel like this tight end class honestly just isn't getting talked about a ton. And it's looking like Tyler Warren's going to end up being a top 15 pick in the NFL draft here, which tight end standards, that is very important, very impactful. If that plays out, how high are you going to be drafting him in rookie drafts? And how much higher do you bump him in tight end premium?
So I have him graded out pretty closely to a couple guys in this class in general. I like Loveland a lot. So at cost, I don't know how much I'm going to move him up. just because I think there's a lot of people out there chasing the next Bowers. Just like the class before that, they were like, okay, the next Pitts, this and that. There's always that one guy that everyone is boosting up in value. And I'm wary of Warren's profile in general, just because we saw him at Penn State. We saw the guys that he was with, and they came out and they didn't get drafted high at all, but outproduced him, generally speaking, for the freshman and sophomore year of his collegiate career. And then we saw him kind of split work, but he didn't really break out until his senior year. And that already kind of bumps him to level playing field, as far as, even though that he had that monster year, it's still 1 year to go off of. And it just has a lot of the prospect profile that I have on him. I think I'm probably going to wait and not boost him over guys like Ibuka, or even in a TEP league, you're talking about taking him over one of the 4 running backs. And if they all get good DC and they get good landing spots, it's going to be hard to even, I can't do it when I can go grab, like I said, Loveland at the end of the second, mid-second, whatever. I mean, I don't think he's going at the end of the second, but he's probably going to be towards the second round, early if mid. And then if all that value is being pushed down, I think that's the move. You just got to wait. Just, we saw what happened with Kincaid and Laporta, and it's just like the value of the first round tight end doesn't always mean that it's going to be success in the NFL.
So, Mike, I really, really like your analysis. Guys on the show understand my kind of way of approaching things. And when there's a guy who is kind of consensus the number one, that's when I tend to take a step back and say, all right, if he's the number one, that means that there is going to be value behind him. Now, with Warren, of course, he had the 98 production score, which was first among the class. But he had a very supple athleticism score at the combine of 85, which ranked him second in the class. As we know, athleticism is the one thing that correlates most to production for tight ends over size, blocking ability, things like that. And I'm talking about production in the NFL, not necessarily fantasy production. Now, would you place Warren? I mean, you said everybody is chasing the next Brock Bowers. There's only one Brock Bowers, and there's only one tight end in the NFL that has eaten pizza that I've made, and that is also Brock Bowers. Would you place Warren more in the class of a Sam Laporta or Dalton Kincaid, somebody who has that athleticism but may not necessarily land in a spot that's going to use him? Like Dalton Kincaid is a great example. Sam Laporta, I think we have 2 years to go by. One was a boom year, one was kind of a bust year. Dalton Kincaid has never really had the breakout that everybody anticipated when he came out a couple years ago. Michael Mayer is kind of similar in a similar boat. Do you see him more in that kind of level, or is there a possibility that if he lands in the right situation, that with his athleticism, he just blows everybody out of the water?
Yeah, I mean, I would say he's closer to a Laporta than a Kincaid, just because he has had that blocking ability. He has that in his bag where he can work in pass pro. He can definitely pick up that guy that's rushing the quarterback. Kincaid he's a pancake, man. You know what I mean? Like, I think Bigz, you can get in there and probably roll him over if you really wanted to. At that point, you're looking at somebody that can just catch, and even though I just said that I would probably pass on him at the value that you're going to get him in the first round, doesn't mean I don't think he's going to be a good NFL tight end. I think he's definitely closer to a Laporta. And I think if he landed on somewhere like the Chargers, where they were in desperate need of a tight end, then absolutely.
Hey,
producer.
But Tucker Fisk is still in the building. Let's not forget that. Shout out Davis High School. So how about, let me posit this to you. Campus to Canton League, you have James Conner entering playoffs 2024, and you trade him to the opposite team for Tyler Warren and Emeka Egbuka. Do you make that trade, or do you Grindberg it?
Wait, so you're getting Egbuka and Warren for
Correct.
James Conner? Oh,
Correct.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah. Did you get that trade? Is that something that you pulled off?
I did.
Yeah,
that's brilliant,
stealing.
man. That's brilliant,
man. And honestly, C2C trades can slap you in the face. They can look awful, but that, especially when you're looking at a class that's coming up, if I'm trading in a C2C class, like league, I'm always looking at, okay, they're getting drafted, because the risk that you have in a C2C league is you're going to draft guys that are juniors, sophomores that might not even see a draft class. You know, they might ever not even make it to that point, but you're looking at guys that clearly were going to actually get drafted. So that's stealing for sure.
I'm never going to let Grindberg live that down.
Good. He does it. He does it.
Okay. That was
Grindberg get a title
back-to-back championships. I would have been for my backup.
It's the rings, Bigz.
Yeah, it's all about the rings, and
I understand the motivation.
Yeah,
Grindberg's got so many rings he can't even turn doorknobs anymore.
Exactly.
Shout out.
I mean, that would have been for my back-to-back in a dynasty league. I mean, what do you do? Like your number one running back goes down on injury. You have the number one team headed into the playoffs, and you need to make a move.
Yeah,
humble brag.
Yeah.
Well, no, I understand the motivation.
I'm defending, and at the time,
I was just trying to continue my greatness. Sorry, excuse me.
James in the middle of a dynasty, guys. My bad.
Mike,
James Conner,
Chiefs fan.
That was a supple trade.
Yeah,
I understand, but I'm still going to talk about it till the end.
And you should, because that's going to help you for years, absolutely. And it didn't end up making it, back-to-back champions, so that's okay. All right, Chev, let's go.
Now that I've refreshified myself and I'm prepared to discuss some dynasty football with you, NerdBoi, it's great to have you on. Let me just first say that it's fantastic. We've been in communication a little bit, and I've been excited for this. One could say that I was bricked up in the cement aisle about the opportunity to probe you tonight.
Bricked up.
Oh, baby.
Now, I need to know from you, NerdBoi, which running back outside of Ashton Jeanty do you expect to get off to the fastest path to RB1 production out of this vaunted 2025 NFL running back draft class? I mean, I've said it's the best class since 2017. I would love to know if you agree with that assessment, or if you would like to provide the class with some legendary ball knowledge, courtesy of the Dynasty Degens. And also, which running back do you predict to have a more supple start to their career, while acknowledging that they'll eventually be an RB1? Now, and where are your favorite and least favorite running back landing spots for this draft?
All right. So this I don't want to be political with this answer right now, but the running back class, it's a straight line 1 to 5-ish for me. So you get Jeanty obviously in that tier. Hampton is like right there, like almost in that tier. Like I'd say 1A, 1B almost. And then you're looking at Travion Henderson, Keyshawn, and then that gets into that third tier-ish. Like you got the Caleb and the Samson, and like it gets a little messy after that. But I think you're looking at, obviously you're going to see Hampton get probably first round DC at this point. I mean, that's the way that it's looking right now. So if you're going to look at somebody outside of Jeanty to kind of launch off and be a workhorse back, he's probably the best bet, just based off of landing spot, DC, and then team need. But it's just, once again, like you talk about rookie running backs, these guys start slow. It's hard to just go in there at game speed, because you can practice all you want. You can do whatever you need before the games, but ultimately it's a learning curve, and it's a massive learning curve as a running back. So you see guys like Gibbs. I mean, there was a massive buy window for Gibbs his rookie year. Everyone was like, oh, I guess they just drafted him to sit behind David Montgomery for half the year. And he kind of did to a degree, but then he just launched off. And you probably could have bought him very cheap. Like I made the mistake of selling him. I sold Gibbs for Breece Hall, and now I'm kicking myself for it. You know what I mean? So it's just, these running backs will be successful. It's hard to predict which one of them is going to just launch off. Like if I had to make a educated guess, I would say Travion Henderson has the best bet, because he's the best pass catching back. He's probably closest to a CMC in this class. I'm actually dropping a rookie profile off tomorrow on him, if you guys want to tune in for that. But it's just, he has that ability. He's amazing in pass pro. He's probably the best pass pro running back in his class. That immediately is going to get him on the field. He's already going to get playing time alone based off his blocking. So you're already locked in for at least 10 to 15 touches a game. And then you're talking about if you're in a zone, an open zone scheme, like if he lands, I don't know, like in a wide open space, like spot that they're just going to like toss to the running back constantly, bust out the Broncos and get dump offs like 7-8 times a game. He's probably my go-to there. As far as somebody that I think could start slow, I think Caleb Johnson probably is going to enter the NFL as he's going to go in the mid to late second. And he's probably going to go on a team that already has a running back there, and he might sit and hang out for a little while. I'm not saying that he won't produce, but I think it's going to be like I don't know. You're going to look at him like 5-6 touches a game, and he's probably going to work in a little bit, and maybe he might launch off a little bit, but I think he's closest to a Najee Harris in this class, and that's who I have him comped as. Like, you're not going to see a bunch of dump offs. You're not going to see him catching passes, but he's a grinder, and he can run in a straight line. He does have that straight line speed. He's semi explosive in the hole. Like, he's not going to like wow you with anything, just like Najee Harris does, but like, he's durable. He's a guy that he's definitely going to be successful in the NFL. I just don't know how successful and how immediate that's going to be. And then did you say favorite landing spots or least favorite landing spots?
Both.
Doesn't matter.
I said both. I said, as the French would say, dose.
I see a lot of people wanting guys to go to Dallas, and I just don't like that at all, personally. I mean, I think it might breed some fantasy points, but I don't know. That offensive line's a mess, so I just feel like you might have a difficult time getting the ball to the running back with that offensive line to start, unless there's some big changes midway season or they have to do something on that team. I just can't see it. I think it's going to be the CeeDee Lamb show up until, I think there'll be opportunity, but it's not sexy to me. And then I think, man, I want to say the Raiders doesn't excite me either. Like I think they can produce, but I want like this guy's going to get, like, if a Jeanty goes to the Raiders, I don't know, man, like he's like, Geno's fine. And we're going to see some movement, but like, we're looking at 15 to 18 points a game, man. Like, it's not going to be like, I want to see my guy like take over Pacheco's job and be behind Mahomes and look at a 46 to 38 game or something. Like, I want high scoring points for my running back right now. Yeah. My favorite spots, definitely, I want to see a guy. I know that Najee Harris just went there, but I wouldn't mind them. He's on a front loaded 1-year contract. Caleb Johnson over there would be great, man. Like, having him sit with Najee Harris, or these too close in production wise and in skill set. I think to do that, they would probably need somebody that complements Najee, but dude, I've been saying Buffalo Bills too, man. Like, I know people love James Cook, but like
Ray Davis,
they're not paying that man, and they're not going to give him money. I also like the Patriots too, because the Patriots like to take a guy. They like to take two guys. They like to take their guy that's going to replace a running back 2 years before they do it. They did that with Ramondre. They're probably going to do it with his draft class just because they don't want to miss up on the guy. But I think they could take a rookie and they could work with Ramondre, and then he'll eventually take over while Drake May's in his prime, and it probably would result in a pretty solid running back there.
Electrifying.
Well, the Patriots have 9 picks in the draft, 2 in the third, so they could definitely clean up. To your point, 1A, 1B, 1C. You got 1A Jeanty, 1B Hampton. Travion Henderson to the Broncos, as you had mentioned, would be like that 1C carve-out tier. It's funny you mentioned for Caleb to Najee, a little bit of a redundant class with the two of them together, skill set. Chad Reuter had a mock where he put Judkins to the Chargers. That would be a little bit of a differentiation there. But it's funny enough, you mentioned the Dallas Cowboys. Chad Reuter puts Travion Henderson to the Dallas Cowboys at 44. To your point, I agree. The offensive line, it's a reputation offensive line. So I don't think we get the 1C outcome for Travion Henderson in a situation where it's the Dallas Cowboys, but to your point, Denver Broncos, we are bricked up in the cement aisle. One spot I would posit to you, it's very supple, is Caleb Johnson. Chad Reuter mocked him to the Cleveland Browns in round 3. How would you feel about him there, Caleb Johnson, with a Jerome Ford? Do you think there's more opportunity for 60-40 where it's a little bit of a launching pad for Caleb?
Yeah, I guess I like that. Yeah. If they're taking Cam Ward, I like that. Or, I mean, Cam Ward's not going to be there. What are they going to get? Shador, maybe? Or, I don't know, man. At this point, they might even just, like, go trade for Kirk Cousins or some bum.
Yeah, in this mock exercise, it wasn't Shador.
Yeah. I don't know. There's no quarterback there, so I don't know how much I love anybody going there right now. If somebody's going to be there, but the options are pretty slim, especially if they're not going to reach for Shador. They might wait and trade for a vet. And at that point, what is it? Kirk Cousins or like Aaron Rodgers isn't going there. I mean, I don't know. They're gonna have to do something, or they're gonna have to trade back. I don't know. They trade for Will Levis. I have no idea what they're gonna do. It's just not gonna be pretty. There's no options.
It sounds like you've got a bearish nature too on the Raiders, right? They're more junk volume on the surface.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Raiders are going to be out of games pretty quickly. I think it might actually just eliminate the running back position pretty fast. I don't expect them to be like super competitive this year, but they could. I mean, they might win like 7 games. I don't know. It's not going to be like I want a running back on a team that's successful.
That's the over, baby. Question for the panel: is it Chad Reeder, Chad Reuter, or Chad Reuter?
I can't reconnoiter it, but Grindberg, didn't you have a question?
I do. Well, appreciate you coming on here, Mike. It's been a long time since I've been following your stuff, so it's appreciative that you've come in on our platform and hanging out with us tonight. But I got a great question here for you. There's a lot of buzz over the last year about this running back class being stacked with talent. We all know it. Some experts have them, about 10 to 20 potential NFL solid players at the position. And we all know that top 3 round draft capital is crucial for running backs, but realistically, we're looking at maybe 9 at the top end, probably 7 getting that premium draft capital. And there's always somebody that kind of surprises, sneaks into that group. So with that in mind, who's a running back that you think could realistically make that jump into round 2 or 3 and surprise a lot of people? What about his game or situation that makes you think he has that supple combination of skills and circumstances to earn that kind of draft capital?
I want to give you a guy that isn't talked about, but I feel like, I could hit you with let's go Jordan James. So Jordan James is never talked about at all. Nobody ever talks about this guy.
I do.
One bit. You do. I mean, Jordan James from Oregon, he sat with Bucky. He played with Bucky. He was kind of a committee back with Bucky for 2 years there. Obviously he's not producing at the level that he could produce sitting with a guy that now we know is one of the top running backs in the NFL currently. So it's like, he played around with Bucky. He produced a little bit, but then he stole that lead back role this year. And I think he got close to, I could be throwing this number around 1,450, 1,400 all-purpose yards this year with 11 touchdowns. He, pretty monster year, and he pretty much carried the team over there to the playoffs, a team that's not too great, that just lost Bo Nix, and they really just struggled to find their identity this year. But I love this guy because he's very seldom used. Like, I think he's got a lot of tread in his tire. Like, this guy doesn't really have any usage, which could be a red flag to a lot of people. We haven't seen a ton of production, but we also could see him with fresh legs and the ability to have a pretty long NFL career if somebody takes a stab at him. He's also pretty explosive. He can run through the hole. He's got good line speed, good first step. I think he's got good vision. He lacks pass pro. He doesn't really have the ability to pick up on a blitz or anything like that. But I wouldn't be surprised if somebody just says, all right, like, we're looking at that tier of guys, and if that third tier of guys is already gone, if these guys are just flying off the board, I think he's got a good stab in the third round, and people are mocking him to the 5th, 6th round right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if he jumped up.
Yeah, it's kind of funny too, because you look at the RAS stuff with him, and it's kind of similar to Bucky, where he doesn't blow you away. I'll be interested to see where he gets drafted. I don't know, man. I'm not super sold on this guy. I see the path. I'm not a huge fan of him. I don't see the totally make you miss like the stuff that Bucky put out there, right? Like Bucky went out there, just made people look stupid. I don't get some of that vibes off of Jordan James, but I definitely see a path where he can be a viable dude.
Yeah, I mean, there's always the Tootin, these guys that could jump up pretty high. I think Tootin is going to be there. Obviously, I thought he was too much of an obvious pick to throw out there, but I mean, right when Sampson goes and then you see Devin Neal go, I think that it's just going to be a question mark as far as what the NFL values these guys after that, because I think once that 8th guy goes off the board, then it's like, where does the NFL see these guys? Because I could flip flop like the Scattabos, like these guys, like I could throw them in any different type of order based off of their DC and their landing spot. It's really like I can't do a evaluation of their talent purely based off of just that, because it could fluctuate so fast.
Yeah, and one of the things that we've been talking about all rookie season is that there are 1 to 20 running backs in this class that could possibly start on an NFL team fairly immediately. And we also talk about what draft capital does to incumbent running backs. So you have a guy like that was drafted in the 4th round that has become a starter. Look at the Chase Brown. The team makes an investment in higher draft capital with a 2nd round running back or a 3rd round running back, et cetera. And I think not only is draft capital going to be super important this year, but also draft capital in relation to who the running backs are in the running back room already. And I think that dynamic is going to be a little bit more important, because we know the value of running back contract wise, and we're not going to see a whole lot of 1st round running backs that are going to usurp the entire RB room.
Oh, great word. Great word.
Outstanding.
Appreciate it.
Keep going.
So those are the things that we're going to have to be looking at with the 4th or the 5th rounders. Do we have, I mean, the Raiders, you keep bringing up the Raiders, and it's not that it hurts my heart. I mean, you said seven wins. That's over that's the over. But if we look at that running back room right now, essentially we're looking at Zamir White and Sincere McCormick, so or a 33-year-old Raheem Mostert. So it's not like they can't take a 5th round guy and make him the starter. Now, everybody has Jeanty going at 106. That's not John Spytek's but at this point, I'm kind of resigned to that happening, even though it's not my favorite thing. Now, let me get into this. This is my question. We have a show sheet, and on that show sheet, I'm usually one of the late adopters of the show sheet. Thursday, I'm doing my stuff. This time, I got in there. I was the 2nd person to answer a question, and it's as if nobody read my question before they put their questions in, because I thought that my question was going to stake a claim with what I wanted you to talk about. And apparently 2 of the questions that came before mine were basically the same as mine. So just like any great, successful dynasty owner, I'm going to pivot. I have a 2-part question for you. Number 1, we've been talking a lot about running backs. So I want to know, we're out of the 3rd round. We're into the 4th round. We're into the 5th round. There are quite a few post-hype draft picks in this class. I'm talking about Ollie Gordon. I'm talking about Trevor Etienne. I'm talking about Raheem Sanders. They are kind of in a tier with RJ Harvey, who's kind of new to the scene, DJ Giddens, who's new to the scene, Rashard Smith, new to the scene. Is there any one of those guys in the very back half that is like in danger of 5th round draft capital or 6th or 7th round draft capital, UDFA? Is there anybody back there that you are looking at going, this guy, if given the right opportunity, could pop in there? And the other thing is, are there any wide receivers that are in that wide receiver 8 to 20 tier that you're looking at that like somehow, some way, they're going to be a 4th round pick in your rookie draft that is going to immediately produce? So one wide receiver, one running back, and then give us somebody who's kind of hyped at running back and wide receiver that you're just not sold on.
I love Ollie Gordon. I've always loved Ollie Gordon. I'm a C2C guy. I'm a Devi guy. I've been, following Ollie Gordon's career since his senior year of high school at this point. But, I have a soft spot for him. I know what he can do. He is a monster body. I think I'd still want to take him regardless of where he gets taken in the draft, just because I think at that weight, that height, and his skill set, I think he's definitely taken a downturn since he's been injured, but also he still has that ability. I think he'd make a great goal line back, somebody that could be like a LeGarrette Blount, if that name resonates with anybody, but just like fall into the end zone 30 times in 2 seasons or whatever he did. Just like, I feel like he could be a value no matter where he goes, just because I think they're going to try to find a way to use him. Obviously, I think Rashard Smith being that dual guy, a guy that played wide receiver his entire career and then all of a sudden just pivots to a running back, and he has that incredible skill set. Unlike any running back in the class right now, he can line up in the slot. He can be on the outside. He can really just have that dual ability that I think he's just going to be used in the NFL. Like, someone's going to find a role for him. I'd love to see him in McDaniel's offense, like somebody that he could just like throw back there. Now that backfield is kind of clearing up a little bit, they brought in Alexander Madison. Like, I think he could just kick rocks, and they could just bring in somebody like that where they can really just use his full skill set. He's got to be in a good spot for me to just like really slam him down in the 4th round. But I think he just still, it's value regardless. And then, all right, so I'm trying to backtrack on these questions here.
Sorry,
so we go. No, that's all right.
Sanders, so, Trevor Etienne.
I like Raheem, man. He's another Debbie darling that, yes. he actually put up really good numbers in his RAS.
He's your Ollie.
Yeah, his RAS score is good. He came back to life. I think I posted on X not that long ago. Like, I wish that we didn't lose the way that Raheem was cooking up boards, like, closer to the time that he came out. He was looked at as just like the Bijan Robinson of the class. But all right, so we got that. I know I'm high on those guys that I think could fall out. I don't like Tootin at all. I know that he's getting pumped up. I think he has big time fumbling issues. He doesn't really have good pass pro ability. He doesn't block very well. I can't see the vision for him. I think he might be a little more overvalued in the dynasty landscape than the actual NFL itself. And then you said wide receiver that
so there's a consensus wide receiver to 6 or 7. And it's basically like we're getting to the Xavier Restrepo is kind of like the beginning of the next tier.
I mean, it's funny you say that. I would actually still take, I think Restrepo just ruined his value as far as dynasty managers go, but I love him. Especially in the back end, if you're going to get him in the 3rd or the 4th, closer to the 4th now, I think, if anything, I think that's a value pick for sure. I'm not too worried about his 40 time, especially if he lands back in with the Titans. I think Cam Ward could be like a Stroud and Tank Dell situation. He could be like, I want this guy. You got to take this guy. I know Chev doesn't like that. But,
I was just gonna say Chev is just eager to
Chev
get
is the Titans gatekeeper, and we have to watch our words around him.
I mean, these quarterbacks just say, "I want this guy now," and that's the way it goes, man. The organization just goes and gets their guy.
I
hope I answered everything. I'm not sure I did.
You're good. You're good.
No, man, that was a fantastic answer. I mean, I'll keep it brief here. There's one name that we haven't talked about, and I wanted to bring that up, especially now that you've mentioned my Titans. And I've never been a Restrepo guy. I mean, it's a cool thought to pair your college guy, but there's another college guy that's been getting a little bit of buzz, that Chris Sims currently ranked as his number 2 receiver in the class, that played with Cam Ward in college, in Kyle Williams. So I'm anxious to see what your thoughts are as far as that potential pairing, and him being a guy that's in the 4th round currently, or even the 5th round, according to quite a few of the ADPs that I've established across various networks. So what are your thoughts on Kyle Williams and his potential impact?
I love Kyle Williams. I had him as my wide receiver 7. I think that's really where I'm going to keep him right now. But I think he's definitely NFL ready. You know, like I think that he's going to go up boards pretty high as far as the actual NFL goes. I think dynasty managers are on him because he's a little older, but I'm not fading him. I think he's definitely a good value. I got him actually in a Devi supplemental draft in the 6th round. You know, so just like, all right, good value. But yeah, he's got good footwork. He's definitely got good release. I think he has a decent route tree as far as like his movement goes. He's intelligent. I like him. I think you got to follow Chris Sims, man. The dude is cooked, but like he's dropping his rankings, and like, man, they're always fire. Like he always just like, they look so outlandish, and then you're like, oh man, like that was not too bad. That was pretty good. You know, like
he does the work, and that's the most important thing. He's not parroting somebody else's take. You know, Chris Sims has always watched the film before he puts something out there, so he can support his opinion with like what he saw. Whether or not it works out or not, that's irrelevant because you know he did the work.
I've built up a fraction of more of respect for the guy because his rankings, when you look, like you said, when you look back, they're never as insane as when you first see him. So yeah, he's always a little bit on.
Yeah, you got to respect a guy like that. You know what I mean? He stands on business. He doesn't really go off of the echo chamber or anything like that, you know? So, yeah, I mean, he hit almost everybody last year as far as rankings go. I think I'm still waiting for that Roman Wilson. I think I was a big Roman Wilson guy, like through and through. So I think he's probably going to hit on that too. Maybe.
All right, NerdBoi, question for you now. The running back and the tight end position. Let's go into how we angle and attack philosophically our rookie drafts. The running backs, tight ends have gotten a lot of love in this draft class. Receiver position, it's seen as top heavy, and then there's a cliff. QB, we've got those big 3, but analyst to analyst, you'll find wavering opinions. Some people like Jackson Dart. Some people like Chev Sanders a little bit more. It's a very supple difference. Let's say you're in the top 3 picks. You're in the top of your draft. With positional depth in mind, when attacking a 4 or 5 round rookie draft, are you inclined to get the top tier running back like Jeanty Hampton and arbitrage down at other positions with later picks? Or do you subscribe to getting the premium players at positions where it is top heavy, say for receiver, Tet McMillan, quarterback, Cam Ward, and then scaling down the ladder at running back due to the depth of the running back class? So which outcome do you like best? And this is just a long-winded way of asking how you'd attack going cross-position, and what emphasis would you rather attack? RB and then other positions, or receiver QB and then running back later?
Yeah, this is a lot of dynasty game theory. And if you guys listen to my podcast, that's what we covered the most. It's like, how are you going to trade on a board? How are you going to move around? What value are you going to take? And that's the stuff I love. That's how my brain operates. But I always just look at my league, you know, like it's all dependent on how these guys value everybody. You know, if my league values running backs more than wide receivers, or if they value tight ends more than quarterbacks, like every league is wacky. Every league is just like, up in the air. You know, I'm in a 12-person super flex league where nobody cares about quarterbacks. I have 3 guys have all the quarterbacks, and they're just like, nobody cares. Nobody wants to trade for them. And I'm just like, I have 6 quarterbacks right now, and nobody will buy one from me. So
you're one of the 3.
There's no leverage. So it's you got to understand that, you know, you're not going to take another quarterback in that league. It's just not going to give you any value at that point. But I think from this class, you have to, I would probably hammer running back. This is a generational class, just like Chev said. I agree with that completely. It is an okay, like if you're looking at Cam Ward at the 102 and you are in desperate need, I still don't love it though. You know, like I'm probably going to take a Hampton or even a Travion over a Cam Ward if I want to, but I'm never going to just do that straight up. I'm going to trade back a little bit. You know, I'm going to put that pick on the block and look at the league and see, you know, who really wants Cam Ward, if that's where he's going. And, you know, you take that bet. Maybe they're going to take the running back I want, but I'm still going to accrue value and hopefully get the guy that I wanted to take early anyways. I play the board. You know, I never come in there with a game plan. And sometimes I end up with 4 tight ends and I'm just like, well, you know, I'm hoping they all hit and that's value, but it's just, I find out what's going to fall to me. If I don't like it, I like what's back, I move back and I accrue a couple picks or I get a couple vets on top of that, you know.
Dallin Holker for the win.
Yeah, never a set game plan, because if I do that, then I just miss out on opportunities that I probably wouldn't be looking at.
Yeah, no, that's a great call. And we have to bring that into, because a lot of people on our show, we're looking at like the random normalness of a player. Now we're talking about the game theory of it. And it's important that you bring that up. And yeah, that's great. Let's cruise into this next section here. We've got, you know, about 20 minutes left here with our boy. So NerdBoi, let's get into some dynasty stock downs and a player that probably has got some value right now that may not be, you know, at that stage next year at this point. You know, they're going to lose a little bit of stock. So who do you got right now that's being valued, drafted in startups that you're probably looking to get rid of or not draft at all?
Probably I think Kyren Williams is somebody that I probably would like to move off of a little bit here. Yeah. I don't think that he's going to completely fall off, or I don't think he's going to just not produce. I think, but that's the thing you want to do, especially with running backs. You want to sell them 2 years before they fall off, you know, like you're never going to, running backs stay the same for like a year. And then they go down and they go down and they go down. There's never a massive boost for a running back's value. It's like somebody gets traded, they get to a good position, maybe a round jump, but they're not like wide receivers. Like you see Nico Collins go in the 14th round and then all of a sudden he's a second rounder. Like that happens with wide receivers. It does. You see the Pukas, you see these guys, the running back, Bucky, but like it happens for a year and then they dip in value. Regardless of their production, they still say, okay, I don't want to draft a 26-year-old running back anymore. Josh Jacobs has been smashing for 5 years. People still draft him in the seventh round at this point. And it's like, why? You know, like, I don't understand how there's no, if you like money, I don't know what you're doing, but yeah, I mean, I'm a big, I don't know. I'm not a big holding on to a guy that had limited DC for that long. Like it's like the Pacheco vibe thing, you know, like I think he's still going to produce. I think he's still going to give you fantasy points. I think they're going to work in Blake Corum a lot more this year. I think that rookie year was just like, okay, we saw him mix in a little bit, but I think it's going to be more of okay, we're going to see a 2-back system in place. I think they're probably going to keep Kyren healthy that way. And they're also going to see what they have with Blake Corum. And if he shows out, like I think he probably could, they might be looking at a replacement, you know, and they're going to have to shed that money eventually. Stafford's not going to be playing forever. His wife's not going to let him do that. So
it happens all the time. And I mean, I don't know if all you guys remember, just a few minutes ago, we talked about kind of game theory. And that's one of the things that we have to look at, and that is positional value. And running backs tend to lose their value quicker than any other position. A tight end, it takes a while to gain value, but once they hit that value, they tend to stay there for a while. Rookie quarterbacks tend to hold their value for a good 2 to 4 years. Wide receivers can become a value and then absolutely break that value the following year, like you gave with the Nico Collins example, all of the third-year breakouts. Running backs is kind of a different story, and I absolutely get it. And Kyron Williams is a guy that a lot of people were out in his draft class. A lot of people were out on Kyron Williams entering last year, although he had a pretty good year. And now it's just more of the same. People are out on Kyron Williams. Does that to you suppress his value to the point where now all of a sudden you see him as a buy because everybody is kind of looking at it the same? From an analytical perspective, you kind of have to, I have to agree with you that Blake Corum's going to get a little bit more run. Kyron Williams didn't have the best combine coming out. All of the signs were against him. So it's only a matter of time before he completely drops out. When you have a guy like Matt Kelly, who's like Kyron Williams is on his do not draft list, we tend to listen to Matt Kelly. Is there a fulcrum? Is there a point where you flip on a guy and all of a sudden 2025 or later summer drafts, now you're in on Kyron Williams? What is the point where that happens?
You see that with guys like Najee Harris, like you look at guys that are downtrodden in the community that consistently play, don't miss games, that produce, like they're just not sexy, like they're not the Gibbs. They're not the guys that are, pulling off 90-yard touchdowns or catching 10 balls a game. Like they're not doing the Kamara. Was that a Thanksgiving game, Christmas game? I don't remember what that was, but that was
the 6 touchdowns.
Yeah.
It was Christmas.
Yeah. They're not doing that, but they stay true and they stay consistent. And yeah, if Kyron Williams does it for another year and then there's a Blake Corum, he doesn't do much. And it's just right now, I value these guys based off of startup value because that's really just telling me, that's the echo chamber that tells me exactly where these values are. So we have I have a little tool that I take all of our startups, I bust it out, I put them all in there, and then it gives me the average ADP. So I do startup almost every day as a mock, and then I just kind of plug it in in the Discord, and then I just see. So it's like ADP wise, he's at the 107 right now. The 107 could be Travion Henderson, it could be Keyshawn Judkins, it could be Emeka Ibuka, whoever it is that you value there. But it's like, that's a sell to me. I mean, I think I'm gonna do a reroll on somebody like that at this point, but that's what makes Dynasty beautiful, though. You can look at that and say, I would sell any of those guys for Kyron Williams right now. So
you're saying you're a Globist NASA shill? No, I'm sorry. Sorry.
All right, I'll keep it quick here. I'm going to be selling off some Jordan Mason. Now, I obviously just got traded to the Vikings. It was like a 5th and 6th round swap this year, plus a 26th 6th round pick heading back to the 49ers. And looking at Jordan Mason, some of the underlying metrics were pretty awesome, right? Yards per touch were 5.4 last year. He had 12 breakaway runs, good for 9th. Obviously, you're looking at some of the system here. We've watched a lot of dudes step in and, when CMC's gone down, and then prior to CMC, you've just seen a bunch of a bunch of just the guys, right, who have stepped in and produced here. Isaac Guerrero had a couple of good games. Now, I do like Isaac Guerrero, but Jeff Wilson, Elijah Mitchell, Raheem Mostert, like you name it, we've had a lot of dudes just step in and produce here. First 5 weeks of the season for Jordan Mason averaged 22.4 touches per game. So massive volume was a big part of his success. Now he's going to be sharing a backfield with Aaron Jones. Like the dead cap there is huge this year. And he's on a 2-year deal. I'm not sure how the second year is constructed, but like he's definitely going to be there this year. One thing, if you're in a timeshare, what do we want that second fiddle guy to do? Catch passes. 14 career receptions for Jordan Mason. And the last thing for me here is we've hammered this running back draft all night. It is entirely possible the Vikings add another body here and another awesome one. So yeah, I'm selling off my Jordan Mason shares wherever I can. I just don't think he's that special of a player. And I think you're going to be able to find someone who likes the player and sees this as a step forward in his career. And I'm just not there with that.
Yeah, I mean, I like that. I think, most people that got Jordan Mason, they got him over the waiver wire, they got him for a late pick, and that's the reality of it. So anything is ROI, you're going to get like a decent kickback. But I would play devil's advocate and just say, you could also wait until the inevitable happens and we see Aaron Jones go down with an injury mid-game at some point in time, and then that value goes up dramatically to sell. But you're right. They could easily draft somebody. So if you go to the Aaron Jones owner and you say, I'll throw this guy over to you for a late second or something, like I think that's easy money for me. But yeah, it's tough, man. I don't know the value of him right now, but I think he's a buy and a sell, as we talked about before. If he's cheap enough, like I might grab him, especially with the idea that Aaron Jones he's 30 almost. I think he's almost 31 actually, just time gets you no matter what. So
he's still younger than Raheem Mostert.
The ageless wonder, Raheem Mostert, the beacon of health, the Oakland Raiders legend, Raheem Mostert. I'm sorry. Listen, so my guy is James Conner here. We're talking about a guy who played his career high in 2024 in games played with 16. He was trying to get that 17th game. Just wasn't going to happen for him or any team that I had him on to get us to the championship. No big deal, though. No big deal. Also, I'm not bitter about that at all. He's coming off a career high 283 touches and also a career high in rushing yards. And I'm right there. The same thing that you said about Aaron Jones, we're talking about with James Conner. He's going into his age 30 season. Like I said, we're coming in with almost, over 1,500 yards from scrimmage and 200. So career highs across the board. And that makes him a prime sell to me. I need to get out of this business. I'm working on an article about Trey Benson being one of my favorite dynasty stashes because the Cardinals can get out of James Conner's contract after this year for just a $2 million cap hit. So, yeah, I would like to know what your thoughts are about selling James Conner.
Yeah, I mean, I think James Conner has been a sell for a long time, but he's just proven that to be suspect moves on my part. I was like telling people to sell James Conner 4 years ago. So, he's definitely stayed true and he's lasted a lot longer than I thought he would, but he still has those sprinkled in. He's auto missing a couple games and that's just kind of how he is, but he was pretty consistent last year. I don't know if that continues. I'm fine selling him. Yeah. I mean, if you're in a position where you are probably not, or you have the depth or you're not competing or whatever, like James Conner's a massive sell.
I'm going to jump in here, even though it's not on the show sheet. I just want to point out to the viewer or listener, however it falls, we see a trend. So you have a guy like James Conner who last year had career highs in touches and blah, blah, blah. 2022, the NFL touch leader was Josh Jacobs. 2023, it was Christian McCaffrey. That guy tends to fall off the following year. James Conner is in that category. Let's continue to pile on the Raiders and talk about Raheem Mostert. Raheem Mostert, 2023, had like one of the most incredible seasons, the one that we had been waiting 9 years for him to finally have. He finally did it. And then what happened the next season? He played, I want to say 12 games and had 250 rushing yards. So when you look at a guy and they have a career high at a later age in touches, that's exactly when to sell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you sold at the right time when you got rid of him for Tyler Warren and Nick Abuka, but it ended up working out good. It was a good transition into my guy, because I think I'm going to raise some controversy here because I'm selling Breece Hall.
Especially today.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. After all your guys is back and forth in our group chat, I was like, okay, well, this is going to be fun to hear it on here. But you know what? I'm lower on Breece Hall this year. The biggest thing for me is the Justin Fields coming in. He's now on the team. His passing opportunity, I think, is going to shrink quite a bit. Justin Fields doesn't exactly dump off. His path to returning that RB6 ranking looks increasingly difficult unless something supple shifts in the Jets offense. His chances of regaining fantasy glory are slim. Last year he was inefficient compared to years past, only 4.2 yards per carry, 876 rushing yards, and only 5 touchdowns for a player that was once projected a top tier fantasy back. I think these numbers are underwhelming. Career low in efficiency among 46 running backs with 100 plus carries. Hall ranked 36 in missed tackles forced per attempt, 28th in rushing over expected, signaling struggles in the open field, 13 rushing attempts per game. Hall only averaged that last year. Braylon Allen came in and, took some red zone threat away from him. So I'm thinking Breece Hall needs to be the most efficient runner of his career in order for him to come back with this RB6 kind of price tag for me. I like guys like Bijan, obviously, Jahmyr Gibbs, Achane, Jeanty, Kyron Williams, even Jonathan Taylor, Bucky Irving, Hampton, all finishing better than Breece Hall this year. I just think it's going to be tough. His opportunity in the red zone is going to be shrunk. And for him to be that top tier guy, he needs that passing upside. And I just don't think that Justin Fields is going to give him the ball in situations like that. So that's why I'm out on Breece Hall. I could see him actually fading out of the top 10 in Dynasty. So I'm out.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are probably going to feel the same way, though. So it's going to be difficult to sell at value personally. I think a lot of people share that thought process of him being a sell or being devalued because of Justin Fields. I think that move in general might not net you the value that you think Breece Hall could net you. I would wait personally on selling Breece Hall. I might wait until he has a boom game in the middle of the season, but the people still love him. I actually bought him in the offseason before that move. I don't know how much this hurts him, but I don't see him as just being a one and done. I think his dynasty value will fluctuate, go up and down a little bit, but I'm with it. I think he's definitely not going to have a boom year, but I don't know, man.
I still love him. Schultzy just sold him or just bought him today. I still love him, even though I sold him last year. At peak value. I'm going to get into my guys. I say guys because, again, I'm going to pivot because I do what I want. I alluded to this earlier, any 4th round or later running back that started last season, I did not do my research. I popped jury duty this week. So I have been doing jury duty from basically 8 to 5 and then working at my job from 5 to midnight, whatever. So I did not have time to get into who are the running backs who were 4th round or later. So I'm going to leave that lay. But I am, over the course of the offseason, I'm going to find out who those guys are and sell all of them. My big guy, and we've been hammering running backs. I don't like hammering running backs. I prefer to hammer tight ends. But I'm going to go with T. Higgins. Now, I feel like T. Higgins' value right now is at the peak that it's going to be from now until the end of his career. And that's simply because of the contract that he just signed. Now, I've been out on T. Higgins for a couple of years. So I don't have T. Higgins shares to really throw out there and sell anyway. But if you do, right now is the time to get out because T. Higgins is not reliable. He's not one of those guys that is able to be on the field for 16, 17 games a season. And he's also a wide receiver 2 in an offense that has the wide receiver 1 in fantasy in Jamar Chase. Now, that doesn't mean that an offense like the Cincinnati Bengals with Joe Burrow can't sustain a high-level wide receiver 2. We know that they can because we see some of T. Higgins' points per game stuff. And if you're playing best ball, that's fantastic. But as far as Dynasty is concerned, let somebody else go ahead and take your T. Higgins and go and get yourself some first rounders. Get another wide receiver who's going to be just as viable and maybe more reliable than T. Higgins, but get out from under T. Higgins because right now everybody loves him. He's part of that dynamic offense, and he signed a huge contract, so they made their investment in him, but he's not reliable, and he's wide receiver 2 on that team.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with that. I think that, people were spoiled with T. Higgins last year, but ultimately he is unreliable. He goes out of games. He comes back in games. He plays decoy a lot. He does miss a certain amount. And it's just, I'm not going to say he's injury prone because I don't like placing people under that label, but he doesn't play through injury. And that's just tough for me as a wide receiver, So I agree. And he is also always going to share that field with Jamar Chase. So when Chase booms, Higgins kind of weeps a little bit, and it just creates a boom bust situation. So I think even then I would rather trade for the other wide receiver 2 and like Devonta Smith, like you'd probably get a plus, you know what I mean? Higgins for Devonta Smith, and I don't know what the value is right now, maybe even second, probably not, but like, you can still get a plus on him, some sort of plus, even people are out on Zay Flowers. I think Zay Flowers is actually going to boom in his third year this year. I think he's going to actually have a really good year over there, and he's going to be sharing the field with Hopkins and the ghost of Mark Andrews. So it's like the sky is the limit for him as long as they have a passing attack over there. So I think he'd be a good trade target for T. Higgins as well.
Yeah, I'd rather have Jordan Addison. I'd rather have Jacoby Myers. I'd rather have Devontae Adams or Puka Nacua. Somebody
Jacoby Myers. Oh, baby.
Talk dirty.
Got to throw that out there. All right, Coach, let's finish this out and get out of here.
Okay. All right. We will do Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon before the NFL draft, I think you got to get rid of him. Going to be 29 in 2025, RB 17 in 2024, 14 games played, 5th in opportunity share, 9th in target share, 34th in fantasy points per opportunity, 0.81. Not good. 7 of his first 13 games, RB1. Final 4 games, didn't finish above RB 27. 9th in fantasy points per game. He ran pure on opportunity. My prediction is the Texans will bring in competition in the NFL draft. You want to ring the bell at the top, get out on Joe Mixon 1 year early versus a year late. Joe Mixon for Jerry Jeudy on KTC. Early 25 second. Matthew Golden. Those are the values that I'm seeing. I'm liquidating for all 3 for Joe Mixon. What do you got on Joe Mixon for selling, NerdBoi?
I would definitely sell Joe Mixon. I think that he didn't deliver fully to where people saw. Obviously, the Texans didn't have the humming offense that everyone thought they would. They didn't transition a year or two as well as people anticipated. So I think, Mixon's a massive sell. I mean, I think that any guy, and with that kind of contract at that age, they're on to 1 year contract territory now. After 29, you're lucky to see a 2 year contract for a running back. It's just going to be 1 year, 1 year, 1 year. There's no job security that way. And then, if there's an injury, these guys can just get dropped from the league completely. Like another injury to Joe Mixon, you might not see him again. And that's just the reality of it. When you get hurt at 30, you just don't want to do it anymore. And I feel that, I'm almost 40, so I definitely feel that.
Oh, almost 40.
Yeah, he gets 30 at 30.
Wow, almost 40. You are old. I was out on Mixon last year and I got bit by it, but whatever. Age cliff, it can happen, or sometimes it doesn't. That's gonna wrap it up for us. Thank you, NerdBoi, for coming on the show. Definitely our favorite Dynasty Degen. And so go ahead and let us know what you're currently working on at Dynasty Degens and where we can find all of your stuff. And then we'll get to Dynasty Pulse after dark.
Yeah, so we are doing the Scouting Report Dynasty show in about 10 minutes. I'm going to have Peter Howard on there, so we're going to just talk about his process and how he goes through the rookies of his class. Tomorrow we are dropping the Travion Henderson rookie profile, so that's going to be over on it's going to be over on YouTube. So Player Profiler now YouTube, and then also obviously Spotify and Apple and all that good stuff. And then we have the Devi show that is going to be dropping on Tuesday of next week. So a lot of back-to-back shows, a lot of fun stuff. Our redraft is starting. We have an open Discord, so open to the public if you want to DM me for that. And then, we're just always cooking stuff up and doing startups and having fun over there. So definitely, a lot of Saratoga. So enjoy.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love Peter Howard. He was on my personal channel. Fantastic analyst. The dude, like, if you want somebody who like digs into the data and like the spreadsheets, Peter Howard is definitely a
well, we'll let you get to it, man. So thank you so much.
All right, thank you guys.
Peace out.
I'm gonna dip. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, everybody.
Boom.
Let's just end this real quick.
And we're out.